In a previous video, I talked about some of the struggles that I had with social situations and relationships as a result of having ME-CFS. In this video, I'm going to talk about some other struggles that I have, although these struggles are more kind of general and relate to the feeling of being at society's edge and having a life that is in limbo. But first, my name is Patrick Usher. I am author of the book Understanding ME-CFS and Strategies for Healing, in which I break down some of the latest, most exciting ME-CFS and long COVID research, and in which I talk about the various treatment strategies that I have tried in order to improve my condition. The links for that book are down below. So before you develop an illness like ME-CFS or long COVID, you're an active participant in society, from the closest connections, such as friends and family, and extending that outwards towards your colleagues, towards your work and the kind of work that you do, and the sense of being an active citizen involved in society at large, social groups, being able to participate also in just things like going to the cinema or going to the theatre, all the things that keep society going and buzzing in its own way. However, when you develop ME-CFS, and depending on your severity, a lot of that might suddenly become inaccessible, and it could even become almost entirely inaccessible. And this brings a lot of challenges, because we are social beings and we are embedded in societies, and when all these sources of meaning and self-worth and enjoyment are suddenly taken away from us, that's a real challenge. And I remember in the first few years of my illness, when I was living in my apartment in Dublin, looking out the window. At that stage I was essentially housebound. I could do a small walk across the road to the shops, but that was it, and that wasn't always possible. But I remember looking out the window and seeing the buses and the cars going past and thinking to myself, this is quite metaphorical for how I feel in general at the moment, because it was like, or I come to feel, that I was watching the world from society's edge. Society is kind of getting on with itself, doing its thing, and I can't actually participate. And so I'm watching. I'm just seeing what's happening. And initially this was just something that, I noted that this was how I was feeling. But over time, as the years pass and this feeling remains strong, it started to really wear me down. Because, it's one thing if you feel like that for a year, and it's quite another if you feel that way for 5 years or 7 years, because you're not getting any younger, and the world is just continuing. Furthermore, we are social beings, and we derive meaning and worth from being able to engage with others. And if so many connections and groups and work and everything is actually not available, this becomes a real challenge in terms of your mental health. So that's been the first issue that I've really struggled with, is this feeling of watching the world from society's edge. Another thing, and this is more something that's been the case as I have become more functional, these days I can often walk around 7,000 steps a day on my good days. I can go shopping, I can manage my life a lot better. I can be independent. It's still hard. I still have times where I am stapled to the couch, but I'm a lot more functional. And so from the outside, someone might think, oh, well, I'm able to do X, Y, and Z, and they might say, well, why don't you go and do all these things you've wanted to do, like going to social groups or dating and relationships, just being able to participate more like I used to. And the reason that I can't really is because I am still very close always to being taken down by the illness. ME-CFS is not defined so much by your good days, although it's better to have better good days than worse, of course. The problem with ME-CFS is what's always round the corner. And, I would love to go to, for example, a social event in the evening. And I probably could go. It might be a bit difficult, but I could go and I could do it. What will the price of that be that night, for example? Because I often find that my problems with insomnia get worse if I overdo things in the evening, and sometimes they can be very bad. Or what will be the situation the next day? What I'm getting at is that even though I've improved a lot, my life feels very much in limbo. And for those who mightn't know that expression, that means that you're kind of stuck between two places. Your life is quite stagnant. You can't, kind of move forward, and it's sort of it's stuck. I'd rather be in that situation than bedridden, as I once was for 2 months. But it's a feeling like I've improved, but I can't actually get over the hill at this stage. And that means that still a lot of things that are not available to me because I can be brought down very quickly and then I become really ill. So those are a couple of things that I have difficulties with. I'd be interested to hear if you struggle with these kinds of things as well, or similar. But I wanted to end this video on a more positive note, which is to say that even though we might feel like we're not part of society, or we're at its edge, and there's many ways in which that is true and accurate, we still are. We still are members of society. There are many people with ME-CFS in society. We are all fighting for each other. We're all trying to change the situation. Many of us are taking actions towards playing our part, however humble that might be, in trying to actually encourage change in the right direction. I do believe that we are witnessing the ME-CFS ship slowly turning around. I think it will take time, but I do believe it's starting to go in a better direction, and that one day it will reach its destination, and that will be a wonderful moment. And it will have been precisely because the people who feel themselves to be invisible, who feel themselves to be at society's edge, never gave up the good fight and never gave up actually trying to campaign for change. And ultimately, when that moment comes, people with ME-CFS and long COVID are rendered much more visible by society, we will truly realise that actually we weren't so invisible after all, and we weren't so much at society's edge either. Because actually we will have changed society in a way that will be forever. So that's it for this video. I look forward to hearing your comments, and I will see you in the next one.